resilience is our ability to bounce back. So think of a rubber band that gets tension, you can pull it, but through all that tension, it comes back to a place of stability. And that concept is so important in our life right now because we all are facing a lot of resistance, a lot of pull. And we may feel like it's pulling so tight, it's going to break.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel like it's broken, but we can bounce back. And that is what the research tells us, is that people can be trained to be resilient and be able to bounce back. So I think in the context of this conversation, as we're looking at moving into the new year, it's good to talk about resilience from the perspective that we want to bounce back to wherever we, whatever goals we had for last year, where we wanted to go, the dreams that we had that we seemed to start out with so well at the first of the year. And then the resistance happens and the pull and the hardship and the trials kind of show up. And then we kind of feel like we lose our ground. So maybe we take this conversation and talk about resilience in terms of the new year. What do you think?
Yes. Well, I love that. And I love, I'm just thinking myself, and I think probably some of our listeners included, sometimes we can get to the end of the year and maybe feel, there's a little bit of I'm tired, we rest, we relax over the holidays, and maybe there could be some disappointments over what, I don't know, there's a lot of thoughts, right? You can be super proud of what you've accomplished. You could be disappointed over what you haven't accomplished or what has happened. What do you say, I guess, what do we do with all of that emotion, with those thoughts that are there?
Yeah.
Like, how do we
do it?
Wrap those up, or what's some strategies? I know you have so many good strategies on how to process your emotions. Mm-hmm. So before we totally move into next year, like, give us some insights on what do we do with what we're possibly feeling right now to prepare to dream and get going into next year. So we're heading into that properly.
Yeah. I think it's always a good idea at the end of the year to reflect on your past year and to look at your wins and to see what did work for you. I think it is a bit of human nature and also a bit of a negativity bias that we kind of tend to all have, to look over our year and think of the things that we didn't get done. Yeah. To find the gaps. And part of resilience is being able to focus on what's working and not what isn't working. And that is one of the ways that we create resilience in our life. So let's just take a moment for a minute. Maybe even you and I, look back in our life. And so some things to do and to not to do. So some suggestions, okay?
Yes.
Let's go back over our year and look for some things that went really well and why. Let's three things. Let's do the three things exercise.
I love this because this reminds me of how, even if I've gone throughout the day and done some things, I sometimes will go back and write on a piece of paper what I did and then cross it out. Just because I like that satisfaction of the pat on the back that I'm giving myself. And so it feels like I'm doing that. Okay, let's go back and look at the things I did so that I can get some credit. Mm-hmm. And that's healthy to give yourself the credit for what you've accomplished. Yeah. Okay. So you want three things that I'm kind of proud of.
Yeah. Well, three things that went well for you this year and why. Yeah. Three things that you can pull out of your year.
Okay. Well, an obvious one for me, and you're smiling already because you probably
I know what you're going to say.
We're actually sitting in this little pool house / studio that I created this year. If I could take you with me to look out the window, it's
snowing too right now. It's so pretty all around us.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's magical. We call it Callie's Kingdom because it's just like my new place to dwell. And I love it. And it was a dream that I had, to transform my just backyard that was grass, that was the dog house, really. I mean, just the dogs enjoyed our backyard. But now it's transformed into this beautiful kingdom that I enjoy. And that was a big dream come true for me. It took a lot of work and a lot of imagination and a lot of money and sacrifice, all the things. But now I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome.
That was a big one.
I figured out my whole research project that I'm doing for my PhD, completion. So that was wobbly all year long. It was a bit of a hair-balling experience because it was looking like we were going to go one direction or another, but we have it all firmed up. And so I'm excited about that.
Which is very exciting because it's actually been something that's been in the works for probably 10 years.
Yes.
Been back and forth living in London, and do I do it? Do I not do it? Why do I do it?
Exactly.
Should I do it?
And
I really want to do it. It's so much work.
Yeah, but I feel like every time at the end of the year, like the dreams that I had and what I wanted to accomplish, that was always top of the list, is to just kind of, tap that bell and get this research project done. So, and I love what I'm doing. It's different than any other time because I love the focus of the research project and the way it's going. So, which actually has a lot to do with resilience. Yes. So I love that.
If had you done it earlier when you were trying to, it wouldn't have come together the way it has.
Yeah.
With the same mentors, the same research focus that you've come to do now. So I think the lesson in that is it's okay when things don't happen and unfold exactly in the timing that we're planning, because when you trust that it will unfold perfectly in the right divine timing for you, then it has a way of doing that. Yeah. And sometimes we just have to be patient. Okay.
For sure.
So I thought of another one that I'm very proud of, and that is that I started this podcast.
I was thinking that. Yes. I thought you were going to say that one.
The first one I thought
it's going to be the podcast, because podcast is a great one.
Yes. I had been thinking about this for years and just kicking it down the road, and you come up with reasons why you shouldn't or can't, or the timing's not right. But finally, it was a goal of mine to just start. And I didn't have the right equipment and it's been a work in process. I've changed and upgraded things over time as I'm figuring out. I've endured my kids telling me, "Oh, Mom, the lighting's not right, the whatever's not right." And then I freeze and I'm like, "Oh, I should just stop." And then it's like, "No, I just should figure it out." And that's what they say. Chase recently was like, "Mom, just stop and figure it out." I'm like, "Okay, I'll stop and figure it out." But not stop altogether.
Stop the dream,
right? Like just tweak. He's like, just tweak what you're doing, and that's it. Takes confidence or probably some resilience, because I've had some setbacks with it, and courage. All the things that you have to overcome when you're starting something new that you don't know how to do and you feel inadequate to do it. And so I've been going through all of these hurdles and obstacles and just trusting that, if one person is listening and it helps one person, then that's worth it to me. So I've just been moving forward doing it.
I love it.
And it feels good to now be at the end of the year. I'm like, oh, I've got several podcasts under my belt, and we'll see what next year brings.
Yeah. I want to point out too, when it comes to resilience, that you said a key thing, which is the setback part.
Yes.
So I think normalizing setbacks is how we become resilient.